Avengers, released in 1998 and directed by Jeremiah Chechik, starring Ralph Fiennes, Uma Thurman, Sean Connery, Jim Broadbent, and Fiona Shaw. With a production budget of $60 million and a domestic take of $23 million, they chose not to release it internationally, giving it a total of $23 million for a loss of $36 million, not including the cost of marketing and all the other associated bits that go with this film. The TV series was quite strange too, but this, oh this. Characters. Bland or bizarre? They're your choices on this one. The two leads, I cannot remember their names. I didn't care enough. Bland. Look, they're on the cusp of being truly interesting, okay? They had a presence about them that you just kept waiting to take flight and do something good with. But they just didn't launch. You got a glimpse of them being really kind of cool in one particular scene. There's a sword fight in a tailor shop. Yeah, there is. And that was quite well done, both the dialogue and their acting and the sword play and the whole thing. That little scene gave great promise to this film, and that was as close as we got to good from these two. The two support characters, mother and father, they were intriguing to begin with. They weren't the worst. They weren't the worst in the movie, all right? And then the once great Sean Connery appears, and he sucks. Just why? Well, why? He's a really good actor, and this was appalling. I don't know. Was he trying? I hope he wasn't. I hope he realized this was a dive and gave up. Because if he was actually trying, that makes it worse. He's got that grand theatrical voice of Sean Connery, but everything he says is either nonsense or pointless or badly delivered or just bad. Between Sean Connery either being insane or bored or something and Uma Thurman constantly looking surprised to be there, The score for characters is a 1. Just terrible. Story. Sure. Okay. If this is my previous movie format, I just cut it short about now. But I've actually allocated 2 minutes to talk about this. So, alright, the story doesn't make any sort of sense. I mean, you can follow it. You can follow where it's going, and you can follow the overall idea of the story. The story is a mad Scotsman from a secret agency has taken all his weather change technology, okay, and now he's controlling the world's weather, and they must pay him billions of dollars, otherwise he will just destroy the place. That's it there. You've got the secret agent who's off to try and save the day, and then you've got the rando scientist who's also a ninja spy athlete who's also out to save the day. There's a cloning idea in this story which is glimpsed over the top of. You get to meet the Invisible Man. Invisible. You get to meet him. You can buy and sell weather over the phone, beam straight down the phone line to your house, depending on what you want to pay for it. There's a whole bunch of stuff about scientists being stolen or coerced or threatened or something to help Weatherly. That's right. I think that's the name of this idiot. His evil scheme to take over the world, but they all get killed off anyway because reasons. Stuff with a maze. An underground lab and a cloning thing, maybe? Again, we never know. They just talk about it in passing. But it's obviously there because she has a clone. And the story goes bing, 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 bing. And the main heroes literally just fall into the plot line. And it resolves itself because they figure it out at the end through very hopscotch means. Story gets a 1.25. Because that could be followed. Just look and feel. Okay, now this is the bit that actually makes me mad in the film. They blew away a whole bunch of cool stuff. Alright, the look and feel, the style of the movie, I really liked. The look of the cars and the suits and the HQ and the different locations looked really nice. What happened here? There's a whole sequence where Science Girl is trying to escape evil weatherman's mansion, and she goes into this Escher painting style thing where she keeps running through a room or going down steps that lead back to where she started. You watch her do it in a room and then out of the room and then into the room and keeps coming back through the same doorway. Looked great. Very clever, visually speaking. Really sweet. I wish it was in any other film. Then you've got them driving through the countryside and they're attacked by robot wasps for no damn reason. You never see any other robotics in the movie. No reason. The machine guns are going and they're crashing in the trees and exploding, and there's quite obviously a lot of physical props going in here. There's a lot of physical effects and special effects and some really cool stunt driving. And the grand finale where you've got Uma's character fighting Eddie Izzard's character, I think, on a high wire thing, and there's knife fighting and all that sort of stuff. And then down below, got a full-on sword fight. It's very Star Warsy, actually, the ending, because it's raised platforms and water's surging and splashing, and there's just mad kind of fight going on there. And that, visually, again, very kind of cool. I'm mad about the fact that it looked so good in some areas, and it was just a waste of everybody's time. So for look and feel, I have to give it a 2. It just looked really cool in some parts, and then it was just wasted. So, yeah, it gets a 2. Script and dialogue. Alright, sure. So much of this is trying to be witty repertoire, back and forwards, finishing each other's sentences, sounding very classy, trying to be funny and clever. It is pointless. It's not just bad, it's pointless. There's a sequence where Uma Thurman is fighting her clone on the top of an armoured hot air balloon that's drifting along in the middle of a major blizzard snowstorm tearing through London. Wind is howling, the snow is driving, and this balloon just calmly off in the distance. Bizarrely delivered. There's too many pauses. There's too many stops in the sentence, or there's not enough pauses and phrasing gaps and just moments for the dialogue to settle in. It's either one or the other. It's either too fast or too slow. Watching Sean Connery stumble along and just bland his way through this movie was painful. It feels like they've stuffed up and they've come back and dubbed over it again, but they just read from a page and there's no life to it. Did I mention that slow-moving weather balloon managed to crash and explode into the side of the building as if it was some sort of race car? Did I mention that part? No? This movie went for 90 minutes and that felt too long, but in many ways we could have done with an extra 20 minutes just so we could try to make sense out of this plot. To make sense out of something, because that just wasn't making any sense. It just went from one thing to the next thing and it made no sense in between. There was no link, there was no context. It just did things because they could. I don't know how much of this they ripped out of the cutting room floor, but there's probably tidier jobs done in the slaughterhouse. I don't know what happened or what went wrong, but script and dialogue is just terrible. It also gets a 1. Fun factor, it's a crap movie. No, it gets a 1. Okay? I'd cut it off right here if I could. Look, I'm upset that I watched this movie. I'm offended that they've used the name Avengers on it, that's for certain. You know? Can Marvel sue for, I don't know, misrepresentation or something? Yeah, I know, the TV show probably came out before the Avengers comic. I understand copyright law. Yes, it's okay, it was a joke. I'd like to say the phrase, it promised so much but delivered so little, but didn't even promise much. I mean, you watch the opening titles, they're as low budget as I've ever seen for a big budget movie. Having done a little bit of research on this, I know that the studio absolutely gutted it, ripped the middle out, stitched it back together, none of it makes sense anymore, and no one understands what the hell was going on. It's not even bad in an entertaining way. I would not recommend this for any reason at all. None. Final score, add all together and gets a 6.25, which also, to be honest, feels a little high for this one. What an absolute train wreck. What a fundamental failure. The 1998 Avengers movie. Don't see it. see something else. Has anyone else seen this thing? Let us know in the comments below or on the Facebook page. Oh, and thanks to Kylie who inflicted me with this, because I'm pretty sure she knew what I was going to think of it. $5. I take great comfort in knowing that she got ripped off for this. Anyhow, I hope you're having a good week, you've got a great weekend coming up, and that you make some time to go and watch a movie. Not this one.